Hello, everybody. Welcome to Joe the Lawyer. I'm your host, Joe Pometto, a practicing criminal defense attorney in Pittsburgh, PA. Today, I want to take a look at a couple of things. Now, I know I already delivered my verdict prediction on the Kyle Rittenhouse case, but the prosecutor came out with this prosecution, or I'm sorry, it's a little late at night. This cross-examination of Kyle Rittenhouse. And I wanted to comment on the cross-examination because I heard a lot of things in the media saying that this guy did a terrible job, or he did this, or he didn't do that. So what I want to do is take a look at just a clip from the cross-examination, and then I'm going to give you my opinion on whether this cross-examination was effective at certain key points, what the prosecutor's goals are, who he is, and what he may be angling for overall. So let's just take a quick few minutes. Let's look at this, and it'll give us a nice baseline so that I can talk about my opinion. However, before we dig in and watch a couple of minutes of the cross-examination of Kyle Rittenhouse by the prosecutor, please raise your cup, your glass in the air. Cheers with me, this guy Thomas Binger. Cheers with me. It tastes better when we sip together. The same time sip. I know I told you I drink Coke, water, Diet Coke, water, and coffee, but I sometimes drink iced tea. Cheers. All right, let's just watch a few minutes of this.
Everybody that you shot at that night, you intended to kill, correct?
I didn't intend to kill them. I intended to stop the people who were attacking me.
By killing them.
I did what I had to do to stop the person who was attacking me.
By killing them.
2 of them passed away, but I stopped the threat from attacking me.
By using deadly force.
I used deadly force.
That you knew was going to kill.
I didn't know if it was going to kill them, but I used deadly force to stop the threat that was attacking me.
You intentionally used deadly force against Joseph Rosenbaum, correct?
Yes.
You intentionally used deadly force against the man who came and tried to kick you in the face,
yes.
Correct? You intentionally used deadly force against Anthony Huber, correct?
Yes.
You intentionally used deadly force against Gage Grosskreutz, correct?
Yes.
With regard to Joseph Rosenbaum, you fired 4 shots at him, correct?
Yes.
You intended to kill him, correct?
I didn't intend to kill him. I intended to stop the person who was attacking me and trying to steal my gun.
Since August 25th, 2020, this is the first time that you have told your story.
Sustained.
Since August 25th, 2020, you've had the benefit of watching countless videos of your actions that night, correct?
I've seen certain videos, not all of them. I've seen the majority of them actually here during the trial.
You've also had the opportunity to read articles. People have written interviews, things like that, about what happened that night, correct?
I do my best to avoid what people write on the internet. A majority of it's not true.
You have also sat here through 8 days of trial, correct?
Yes.
And you've had the opportunity.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there because the cross-examination is long, but the points that the prosecutor hit there will allow me to get my points across. So rule number 1, the number 1 rule of cross-examination is to always ask leading questions and never ask a question of a witness that you don't know the answer to, because what an attorney wants to do when they're cross-examining a witness is maintain control of the situation. That is rule number 1, and that is the most important thing. And I will tell you, despite some of the media coverage of Mr. Singer, he does a pretty good job of that. He stays on point with his leading questions. And number 2, when you're maintaining control like that and you're asking yes or no questions that you already know the answer to, this might sound a little crazy, but in a way, what the witness answers doesn't necessarily matter, because people and or the jury may already know how the witness is going to answer. But what you are seeing in cross-examination is an opportunity for the attorney to testify and the attorney to plant ideas into the head, into the minds of the jurors through his questioning. So you saw there a series of questions. You used deadly force against individual 1. You used deadly force against individual 2. You used deadly force against individual 3 and individual 4. And Kyle answered yes to all of those. Now, he provided a prior explanation for that, but the lawyer doesn't care. Because what the lawyer's going to do now is he's going to take the answers to those questions, and in his closing argument, he's going to look at the jury and he's going to say, and mark my words, he will do this. I just saw him set this up. He will do this in his closing. He will say, Kyle Rittenhouse admitted to using deadly force against so-and-so. Kyle Rittenhouse admitted he used deadly force against this one. Kyle Rittenhouse admitted he used deadly force against this guy. Boom. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's another thing that's going on in cross-examination. Number 1, the lawyer's maintaining control. Number 2, the lawyer is testifying in a way. And number 3, the lawyer is getting answers to questions he already knows the answer to so that he can use them in his closing argument and put his own personal spin on it. Now, this is something that attorneys, all attorneys do, all good attorneys do. And I will tell you that I think that Singer actually maintains control of this cross-examination very well and achieves those goals. The main cardinal error that he did was he pissed off the judge. He made the judge angry. And what happens there when the other side is objecting and the judge is agreeing with the defense attorney as he's objecting is it boosts the credibility of the defense attorney and it decreases the credibility of the prosecutorial lawyer. You can almost think of a trial. This is true. Look, this is true of life. This is a reality of life, okay? But you can think of a trial as a person having a credibility bank, maybe 0 to 100, like a score on a video game. And when the trial starts, both lawyers are probably on an equal ground. They're both 50-50 until they open their mouths. And then what you want to do is you want to increase your trust while taking down the trust of the other side. And so when a judge sides with the defense attorney in this trial, it's increasing, the jury is trusting the defense lawyer more and decreasing the trust of the prosecutor. So when he goes into things here like Kyle Rittenhouse's right to silence, and I know what we all know what he was doing there, right? Well, you didn't say anything about this case so that you could gather all this information and then fabricate your story up here on the stand at the last minute after you've seen all of this video evidence. That's what he's trying to get at. You can't comment on a defendant's right to silence. That's one of the reasons, but the main reason is that the right is the silence of an individual is a constitutional right, and it can't be used against them in order to show guilt, because silence can be inferred or interpreted as guilt. Now, I will say, Life Rider, I agree with you. I think Kyle's lawyers are doing a good job. I actually think the prosecutorial attorneys, but the prosecutor is doing a pretty decent job as well. Now, I would give a higher score to the defense attorneys because they've really been spot on in almost all aspects of this case. But the prosecutor is not doing as bad a job as people may think. I think the facts favor Kyle Rittenhouse in the self-defense, and therefore I think he will win. But the prosecution, I don't believe, is doing a bad job as well. They have damaged their own trust. They've damaged their own trust with the court and the judge. So that's why I want to get into who this prosecutor is a little bit, because I picked this up in a lot of the pre-trial proceedings. And this guy, and this is probably why he was chosen for this job, he has been super aggressive. He's been super aggressive to the point that it's a little bit ridiculous, and to the point that he's likely being aggressive even in a manner that he knows is going to make the judge angry, okay? And there could be a couple of reasons that he's doing that. Is number one, he's protecting himself, right? The more aggressive he is, if he loses this case, he's going to be able to deflect blame off of him, right? He can say to the media after this case, listen, I went this far, and I tried to do this, and I tried to do this, and the judge stopped me at every turn. So therefore, it's not my fault I lost the case as the DA. It's the judge's fault. The judge who media's already spinning him as being in the corner of Rittenhouse. Okay, he can say it's the judge's fault I lost this case. It's not my fault. I did my job. Now, another thing to keep in mind about this district attorney here, Thomas Binger, is he appears to be a fairly ambitious individual on his own. According to the New York Times, Binger has worked for Michael Gravelli, county's top prosecutor, for 7 years. He's also worked in Milwaukee County Prosecutor's Office and for private law firms. He unsuccessfully ran as a Democrat for district attorney in Racine County, another county. So this guy is ambitious. He's got political ambitions. So the other thing he's doing by sort of going over the top in this trial is he's setting himself up for future runs for office. He's raising his profile. And again, even if he loses, he can run, his platform can be, I'm the guy that prosecuted Kyle Rittenhouse. This will likely elevate him in liberal circles in the Democratic Party. I'm the guy who prosecuted him. I did everything I possibly could. The judge stopped me. The defense attorneys stopped me, etc., etc. So I think that he's sort of acting that out through the trial in a way. And a couple other comments is, I see that what he's wearing there with the suit, I get it. It's the Wisconsin colors. At first I kind of thought this guy looks like he sort of looks like the Joker, Batman's the Joker. But now I see he's wearing the Wisconsin. Tune back in later, Brooke. See ya. He's wearing the Wisconsin colors. That's what he's got going on here. So I give a little tip of the hat, though. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of his suit and tie combo that he has going on. I think the defense attorney looks a little better dressed, a little bit more professional. So that is what I see happening here. A couple other comments. Every time this guy was objecting, the jury was getting up and walking out of the room. Now, in many trials, the lawyers will just approach and talk in silence out of earshot from the jury. I don't know if this is just what they do in Wisconsin. In Pennsylvania, we will approach the bench, talk to the judge quietly while still on the record, out of earshot of the jury. In this case, they're moving the jury out to discuss the objections. That's going to annoy the jurors. They're going to be tired. They don't want to be getting up and getting down over and over. And if it's seen as the prosecutor's fault, okay, it hurts his side. Again, we're talking about that credibility bank. That boop, 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 boop. He's losing life force, right? Like in a video game. He may not care because, even if he loses this trial, he's setting himself up. But that's a bit what I see going on here. The final point is they may be focusing on that gun charge now because, number one, they think they can win on that. But also, remember I said in the last video, you can lose the right to self-defense if you're seen as the initiator of the altercation. They may be trying to say, well, Rittenhouse is the initiator because he showed up with the gun and he had the gun illegally. I don't think that's the greatest argument, but it's an argument, and it may be one of the only things that the prosecution has, or one of the few things that they have left. So they may attach to that argument, and so that may be what they're setting that up for. If he at least gets a misdemeanor conviction on this guy, he will get a conviction. But, the truth about Binger is he's probably not that concerned because the way he sees this case is it's likely it's gonna assist his political career. I'm just not... I don't want to say, I'm not saying he doesn't look professional. He does. And now that I see the colors, I can let go a little bit on them. But, I would not wear a Steelers tie into a trial like this. I'm not sure how I feel about all the little Wisconsin stuff. But hey, to each their own. But I just want to cap this off by saying this. This prosecutor, people are going to have opinions about the defense attorney, going to have opinions about the prosecutor. I actually think the prosecutor has done a fairly decent job given the hand that he was dealt. And from the perspective of the district attorney, he's probably pretty happy with this guy because he's going full bore. And that's going to give them political cover if and when they lose this case. I can tell you that if you look at a lot of the cases that have been brought against like law enforcement individuals for wrongful killing, for killings in the line of duty, sometimes the prosecutor's office is accused of laying down, right? Or not giving 100% at the trial and just going through the motions because they don't want to prosecute a cop, right? This district attorney's office is going to avoid that perception because this guy got up here and say what you will about him, and look, he crossed the line, and it's not the way that I would personally go about doing the case. I would not try to elicit evidence that I knew was not admissible, which is some of the things that he's done here, and some attorneys do it a lot. Okay, I personally would not do that. But he's giving himself political cover by doing that. He's going sort of full bore 100%. It's going to create political cover for the district attorney's office and for him if they don't get the conviction. They likely don't truly believe that they'll get the conviction, even though look, anything's possible. I'm not going to sit here and say with 100% certainty I think Rittenhouse is going to win, okay? But my prediction is that he'll win on all charges except for the gun. Okay, everybody, I just jumped in here to do a quick, I wanted to share these opinions. It's some of the final scenes from the trial coming in. The jury's going to deliberate on Monday. I think it'll take them Monday, Tuesday, maybe into Wednesday to make a decision. I would say we get Tuesday or Wednesday, we get a verdict. And, some of his actions there, dismissed with prejudice, yeah, the judges refused to declare a mistrial, but some of the prosecutor's actions, if they even get a conviction, are going to give Rittenhouse ripe grounds for an appeal. So if he does lose, he may get another trial because this guy's over here trying to use as evidence the fact that he exercised his constitutional right to remain silent. So that's what we got going on here. Which side goes last at closing arguments? Well, that's different state to state. In Pennsylvania, prosecutor gives opening statement, defense goes after them, and then for closings, it goes defense and then prosecutor. Prosecutor gets the final word because they carry the burden of proof. However, in federal court, The defense then gets a chance generally to give a short rebuttal, and then the prosecution can give a rebuttal after that, which is nice because it gives each side a sort of an equal opportunity to respond to what the other side said. One of the toughest parts about being a defense lawyer is when I give my closing statement, I then have to sit there and be quiet and shut up and listen to everything that the prosecutor has to say, and I don't get a chance to respond to it. Whew, I do not like that. Okay, everybody, I'll take some questions if you got some questions, but I just wanted to jump in, do this video. I don't know how long I've gone, 20 minutes or so. And I want to keep it down. I'm going to make some other videos too while we're here, and I'm going to break them up, but I want to jump in, do this live. Thank you everybody for dropping in. Please give me a like, give me a subscribe, give me a share if you haven't already done